Hi, laddie. I'm back. Chromosome. It's time for me to do me dancing. Let's do some dancing. Aye, 'tis a Wednesday, which means there's the book talk today. Aye, laddie and lassie, I'm gonna sip some Mountain Dew. Enjoy my book talk with you today after this at Bellringer and the Ed Puzzle. Aye, book talk.
All right.
Hey now.
Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
You might learn a ton.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
And he's super cool.
It's Mr. Kovacs class.
Yes, laddies and lassies. Chromosomes, right? We know that chromosomes are long strands of DNA, right? But they're only seen as chromosomes during mitosis. We established that yesterday. And then we also established yesterday that because of meiosis, right? Because of meiosis, you wind up getting 23 chromosomes from dad, 23 chromosomes from mom. But what's weird about them is it's not like you have 46 chromosomes. There only are 23 human chromosomes. You wind up with 23 pairs of chromosomes. That is, you get one copy of each chromosome from each parent, right? So mom gives 23 chromosomes, dad actually gives the same 23 chromosomes. So the zygote has 46 chromosomes, but it's really just 23 copies. There's 2 copies of 23, right? And that's what you need to be an embryo, and then a fetus, and then eventually a baby, right? And I told you yesterday, of course, they've got very creative names. Like the biggest one is called chromosome 1. The littlest one is called chromosome 22. And genes are found on chromosomes, right? And there's hundreds of genes on each chromosome. For example, the CTFR gene is found on chromosome 7, right? So, yeah. And then yesterday, I told you about the last set of chromosomes. That's what I want to focus on today. 23 pairs of chromosomes. Chromosome 1, chromosome 2, chromosome 3, 4, 5, etc., etc. You get to the last pair. This is the only one that may or may not be homologous. Homologous means the same size. Okay? It all depends on what you inherited from your parents. Some people inherit homologous sets of chromosomes. Some people inherit non-homologous set of chromosomes for this one. Right? Everybody inherits one of these big chromosomes we call chromosome X. Chromosome X is a huge chromosome. It's got tons of genes on it. You can't be a person without chromosome X, right? It's got color vision proteins, it's got blood clotting proteins, it's got muscle building proteins, it's got all these different genes on it that you have to have, right? And some of us, of course, inherit 2 of them, and we have 2 of them. We got one from mom, one from dad. Right? The X chromosome also has on it the genes for making eggs. So if you have 2 X chromosomes, one from mom, one from dad, that means you are an egg maker. You're making eggs. Okay? But some of us only got 1 X chromosome from our mothers, and our father gave us what we call the Y chromosome. The Y is a rinky-dink, lousy little chromosome with barely anything on it, but it does have a switch which turns from making the big gametes to the little ones, making from eggs to sperm. So if you have XY, chances are good you're a sperm maker, right? Although there are lots of people who are XY who are egg makers because the sperm making switch has got a mutation on it. They're still XY, but they would make eggs because they've got the egg making genes here. The weird part about humans, and anyway, and this because of this XY, is that whenever there's a problem with the X chromosome, you're more likely to show up if you are a sperm maker than an egg maker, right? Like more boys are colorblind than girls. That's because they don't have a second X to back up the original X, right? If this is defective on this gene, or on this chromosome, that gene is defective, you don't have a second one to back it up. Whereas if you were an egg maker, you would have another copy of that gene to back it up, so to speak. And then, of course, because of this, the sperm maker is one that determines the baby, whether or not it's going to be male or female, whether or not it's going to be an egg maker or a sperm maker. Because no matter what, mom's giving an X in her egg. She's either giving this one or this one. Dad is either giving an X or a Y, right? Depending on which meiosis, which sperm they wind up in, right? So it's dad who determines gender. So, yeah, funny story about that. King Henry VIII, right? He had 6 wives, divorced, beheaded, survived, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. That was it, his 6 wives. Anyway, he had at least 2 wives who were executed because part of what they couldn't do was bear him a son. He would blame them for the fact that he gave them the wrong chromosome. That's at least through the legend anyway. All right. So yeah, and then we talked about in humans, it's XY is sperm makers, but like in chickens, ZW is hens, ZZ, the homologous pair, is roosters, and it's different in different species. And in a lot of species, there's no chromosome at all to determine gender. It's done by like temperature of the environment. Like in most reptiles, it's temperature. Hey laddie, love the chromosomes, especially chromosome X, laddie. X and Y, top of the chromosome to you. Look at the genes be with you. You know what this makes me feel like? Makes me feel like me dancing. Hey laddie.